Now, one thing that's going to determine the success of your fishing trip is the activity levels of the fish. Now, basically, a guide to that very often is the weather. You need to look at the weather. If you've had stable conditions over a period of a few days, chances are the fish are settled in and they're in a fairly predictable pattern. And normally you'll find fish in one area and you can go and catch fish in similar areas throughout the lake that you're fishing in. What you need to consider, though, is when there's been a cold front going through, where you've had some unsettled weather a day or so before, you will find that fish, generally speaking, will go a little bit deeper, or they'll get in tighter to cover, so they'll be tucked in under logs, inside weeds, that kind of thing. So you need to fish slightly differently and adjust your approach to suit what the fish are wanting. Now, as you're out there fishing, pay attention to what you're doing and let the fish tell you how they want the baits presented to them. Sometimes you'll want them fast, and the fish will tell you that because they'll jump all over them. Sometimes they'll want the baits glided. Sometimes they'll want them slow. Sometimes they'll want them down deep. Sometimes they'll want them on the surface.
You know, when it comes to action with a soft plastic jerkbait, there really is no right or wrong way to fish it, and that's the neat thing about the bait, especially these ones from Black Mamba. Now, depending upon the conditions is how you're going to fish it. Number one, when you're faced with an overcast morning like I have today, I want to cover a lot of water and look for some active, aggressive fish. And the type of action you're looking for out of the bait is all imparted with the rod tip. I keep the rod tip low, I snap it, and I sort of fish it with a slack line snap. So every time I pull, I'm actually pulling on a slack line. This will cause the bait to really jump and dart and go all over the place, and it's a great technique for looking for active fish. But then on the other hand, as the light gets stronger and brighter, what you want to be doing is slowing it down, and that's where this bait really shines, because it doesn't impart any negative impact to the fish. And by that I mean it glides through the water so easy.
The Black Mamba jerkbaits have a very random and fluid action. They're not mechanical looking in any way. Because they look, move, sound, feel and taste real, the fish just don't hesitate to bite them.
All the action, remember this now, is imparted with your rod tip. There is no built-in action on its own. Now the bait, as I said, doesn't give off any negative impact. It has no rattles, it doesn't shake or shimmy. It's got a real gliding motion, and the harder you work it, the harder it'll work for you. So remember, when you're fishing under ideal conditions, like low light conditions, fish it hard, fish it fast. But if it calls for slowing it down, remember to slow down your action as well, and that'll cause you to catch a lot more fish.
I'm really working my rod tip down hard because I'm liking the way that with this cloud cover here, it's making these fish aggressive, and I'll jerk it hard and I'll pause for a second, then I'll work it a little bit harder again and let the bait come up on top of the water and skip like a bait fish. It's just, nope, you see him hit it? You see him hit it? He's on. Got him. Beautiful. You see how aggressive that fish hit that bait? He hit it so hard he knocked the bait 2 foot up the line.
Mouth. Obviously they wanted it very, very slow. We've got a nice clean fish. Cold front conditions coming through, and the fish are very, very, very inactive. Right behind it. As a general rule, again, when you're looking at the conditions, what you want to think of is, if the conditions are overcast, what you want to be doing is presenting the bait fast, horizontally and on the top to create a disturbance. The fish are out looking for food. If the weather conditions are bright or you've just followed a cold front, what you want to do is you want to present the bait vertically, slowly, and also down deeper, closer to cover.
You know, when the wind blows, you can always just get up in these deep weed flats, put a heavy weight on a slick willy or a rib willy. Just keep dunking it down in those weeds. It's one more versatile way to fish these type of baits. That's a nice fish.
A couple of weeks back, Dan, my partner, and I decided to pre-fish for a tournament. We got out to our favorite spot, fired out our favorite confidence baits, and after the first couple of 2-pounders, the fishing died off and it started to get pretty tough. So before we left, I decided to throw the Black Mamba, and I tell you, first cast, bang, I got a 3.5 pounder. Second cast, bang, 4-pounder. Third cast, bam, I got a 4.5-pounder. Dan's looking at me saying, why isn't he catching any fish? So I let them a couple black mambas that I had, and we both started catching fish right away. We cleaned the spot out. I tell you, when the fishing gets tough, the tough go fishing with the black mamba.
When the fishing's tough and nothing else is working, these baits still produce fish. Now when everything else is working and the fishing's good, these baits work at least as well and usually a lot better than the other lures too.
Man, you come out from underneath that cover there, Rocky, just nailed that bait.
Another great feature with these Black Mamba soft plastic jerkbaits is you can cast them right into the wind, even fairly strong wind, without any problems because they have enough bulk to them. Monster smallie. It's a good sized fish.
I went to this spot and I caught four fish the first thing in the morning, and Tim's throwing his tube and a spinner bait and he wasn't catching anything. And then we ended up on a spot, and I tell you, I've never seen fishing like this before in my life. We got on this spot, we were both throwing black mambas because they were working the best. I got some awesome pictures. And we cast 50 times each, and in 50 casts we had 50 fish, and I swear, I was like a kid in a candy store. I had a riot.